Hello, my name is Samara Patterson. I work on a project called Documenting Individual Variations in ASL, or DIVA for short, under the Deaf Studies Lab in the NTID Center on Cognition and Language. Today, I will be talking about the DIVA project, but also how it contributes to the movement of breaking prestige bias within the deaf community. This is our DIVA project team. The Deaf Studies Lab focuses on supporting and studying the variation, perception, and different theories in the linguistic, social, and historical aspects of sign language communities. Our problem statement relates most directly to the idea of prestige bias, but what exactly does this mean? In the ASL community, we have members that come from many generations of deaf family or went to deaf residential schools and have been using ASL their whole life. Sometimes people feel that there is only one correct way to sign certain words or phrases, and when they see other signs that might seem not normal, they feel they must change or fix them to fit their perception of correct ASL. Their intention is not usually to be critical or to insult. They just want to make sure they preserve ASL and its integrity. But this creates the idea of one person signing more correctly than another when there are really multiple ways to sign one English word. Even here at RIT and NTID, we see this. So when we shift back our lens to look at all of America, we can see that it happens all over. We have two basic models of linguistics: the prescriptive model, or how language should be used following rules strictly, and the descriptive model, how people actually use language in their everyday life. We want to shift our focus from prescriptive to descriptive. We hope through our project we can break this prestige bias and show the signing community there are many different signing styles. We have four purposes to our study. First, we work to document signs that not many people have seen before or have yet to be published and are not necessarily widely known to the American signing population. We hope to spread our documentation and help people become more aware of them. Second, once we have shown people signs and dialects that are typically non-standard, we will analyze their thoughts and attitudes towards deviations from the norm. Third, we want to establish a community-centered documentation method. Hopefully, this will lead to heightened representation and gaining exposure for different signing dialects. And fourth, the deaf community is incredibly diverse, spanning different races, socioeconomic classes, and genders. We hope to find how this leads to linguistic variation. Our research question is: how do geographical and social-based differences in deaf communities contribute to the emergence of linguistic variation and prestige bias in ASL? Our population comes from enrolled students at RIT and NTID. We only study deaf and hard of hearing students, but we have recently added children of deaf adults. We look for people who grew up signing. They need to have an established foundation in sign language in order to participate. The NTID gender population is 42% female and 58% male, and although we have 4% international students at NTID, this study focuses on only those domestic students, 96%. Hopefully later we can expand and add other countries and sign languages as well. The importance of a diverse population is also integral to our study. We are not only studying the different variations and signs based on region, but also race, socioeconomic status, type of schooling, etc. Our method to experimentation is as follows. First, participants were contacted through email or reached out to through advertisements around NTID common spaces and on Facebook groups. Second, when an appointment was set up, participants came to the lab and the lexical elicitation process was done in person and filmed. Third, participants were given 12 different lists compiled of 8 to 12 words and were asked to express the sign they used for the word. Fourth, the video was edited to separate each word and analysis of the different variations took place. Fifth, participants involved in our first study were asked to return for a sociolinguistic interview. This interview is designed to capture various structures of ASL usage. Our preliminary results. In addition to collecting data by state, we have an extensive background questionnaire that includes questions related to deaf identity, family history, history of use with ASL, or other sign varieties such as signed English or Pidgin sign. As for gender, we give students freedom to identify their gender, which includes cisgender, transgender, and non-binary, or their race, which includes more than one option. After our first study, we have 43 participants from 24 states, around 6 hours of sociolinguistic interviews, and 5 hours of lexical elicitations. Before I go into detail about results, I want to mention that the words given in the lexical elicitation part of the study fall into 3 categories. First, our traditional set, signs that are historically documented as part of many variation studies. Second, our socially motivated items, signs that are linguistic variants with specific social meanings. And third, emerging lexical items, emerging signs that have yet to be documented. I also want to mention that our pictured participants from our experiments have signed a permission form, allowing us to use their image on educational posts. Our first example is included in the historical or documented variation category, meaning signs that are famous in ASL for their degree of variation. Birthday is probably the best known example. Most signers can give you at least a few signs for birthday. On the top, these pictures are from a 1984 publication, Signs Across America, which shows some documented variations of birthday. From Florida, signed like this. From Illinois, signed like this. Another from Illinois, signed like this. And from California, signed like this. Those 4 examples are examples of non-standard signs. Now on the bottom, we have 3 pictures of participants from our study. And I want to mention that most of the variations that we found from our participants are from young signers, and we saw that many of them had the same sign for birthday, this sign. This means that younger generations are more likely to change into a more standard sign. But we did find a few different variations. The first sign from New York City, signed like this. They did mention that typically the older generations from New York City sign it like this. From California, signed like this. And from Michigan, signed like this. Our next piece of data is the sign social justice. This is a less known and less documented word. And there are many different variations of this sign, which shows non-standardization. This word, this concept is probably new to some people in the deaf community, which shows why there's lots of different changes in the way that we sign this word. The 3 pieces of data we have shown, the first is from Washington, signed like this. The second is from Texas, signed like this. And the third is from Arizona, signed like this. So our conclusions. Because of online databanks like one called ASL Sign Bank, the general population with access to the internet can see that there are many different signs that they probably didn't know before, meaning these lesser-known signs or non-standard signs will become more known as we are raising awareness of them. Like I mentioned towards the beginning, in the purpose of this study, we're hoping to correct the problem of underrepresentation, and this can be achieved by implementing community-centered documentation. And data dissemination leads to diminished prestige bias responses towards deviations from the norm. As for the future directions of our project, we are now in collaboration with an ASL databank and reference tool called ASL Sign Bank. They collect many different variations of signs, but there are some that they have yet to find, and we plan to exchange information. We hope to soon start coding individual variations to create our own lexical database. And eventually we hope to create a mobile app and website that can display the entirety of the United States map and regional-based signs. Thank you for watching.